William Ellery Channing was born in Newport, Rhode Island on April 7, 1780, as the third child of William and Lucy Ellery Channing and the grandson of William Ellery, who was a signer of the United States Declaration of Independence. He was raised in a wealthy and high-class part of Rhode Island society.
His father was a Rhode Island Attorney General and a United States District Attorney who later went on to defend the first slave to be convicted in an American court. However, when he turned the age of 13, William's father passed away.
When William turned 15, he decided to enroll at Harvard College in Boston. This was during the troubled time of the French Revolution. While there, he wrote, "College was never in a worse state than when I entered it. Society was passing through a most critical stage. The French Revolution had diseased the imagination and unsettled the understanding of men everywhere. The old foundations of social order, loyalty, tradition, habit, reverence for antiquity were shaken everywhere, if not subverted. The authority of the past was gone."
However, he still pushed on studying theology and graduated as a top speaker of his class in 1798. He became a New England liberal, rejecting all Calvinistic doctrines. Becoming inspired by his uncle who entered the ministry, Channing began delivering sermons at many Boston churches, particularly the Federal Street Church. He often had to defend Unitarianism against Orthodoxy and went on to form the American Unitarian Association, and in 1990 was one of the first of 29 elected into the Bronze Hall of Fame. William Ellery Channing was a transcendentalist. His ideas of Christian humanism inspired both religious and writing features of the transcendentalist movement era. Channing not only strived in his works to sample for others the importance of reverence for God, but also the respect of human rights and dignity for all. He effectively stood up for social reform in his areas of free speech, education, peace, relief for the poor, and anti-slavery.
William Channing was a spokesman during the Unitarian controversy. During this time, most of New England was coiled up in theological arguments. He spoke for the Liberator and the Unitarian churches within Massachusetts. He published sermons showing the path between religious truthfulness and unfaithfulness.
Thoughts were widely influential abroad as well as throughout the United States. He headlined morality, charity, and Christian responsibility, urging and organizing action against slavery and poverty. He often had to defend Unitarianism against the belief and form the organization that would become the American Unitarian Association.
He was introduced to God when his uncle entered the ministry at Harvard and himself entering it during his senior year. When William was growing up, his town was founded by the Baptists on the principle of religious freedom. Newport had Baptist, Congregationalist, Quaker, Independent, and Jewish houses of worship, and was home to the largest African population. Often, many African Americans would attend their masters' churches but would practice their own independent traditions.
The family was also among many to have household slaves, most of which were active leaders in the African American community. Duchess Cormia, William's black nanny, and Newport gardener, owned by an uncle, taught him that integrity is the essence of religion. In later years, Channing addressed the topic of slavery, and in 1835 Channing wrote the book entitled Slavery. However, the Baltimore sermon was known to be the most critical sermon in the Unitarian history. His 1830 sermon, Likeness to God, is his most transcendental. Exploring the divinity of man, it is in this sermon that he states,
"To promote true religion is the purpose of a Christian ministry. For this it was ordained. On the present occasion, therefore, when a new teacher is to be given to the church, a discourse on the character of true religion will not be inappropriate. I do not mean that I shall attempt, in the limits to which I am now confined, to set before you all its properties, signs, and operations. For in so doing I should burden your memories with divisions and vague generalities as uninteresting as they would be unprofitable. My purpose is to select one view of the subject which seems to me of primary dignity and importance, and I select this because it is greatly neglected, and because I attribute to the neglect much of the inefficiency and many of the corruptions of religion.
The text calls us to follow or imitate God, to seek accordance with or likeness to Him, and to do this not freely and faintly, but with the spirit and hope of beloved children. The doctrine which I propose to illustrate is derived immediately from these words and is incorporated with the whole New Testament. I affirm and would maintain that true religion consists in purposing as our great end a growing likeness to the Supreme Being. Its noblest influence consists in making us more and more partakers of the divinity. For this is it to be preached. Religiousness instruct should aim chiefly to turn men's aspirations and efforts to that perfection of the soul which constitute it at a bright image of God. Such is this topic now to be discussed, and I implore Him, whose glory I seek to aid me in unfolding and enforcing it, with simplicity and clearness, with a calm and pure zeal, and with unfeigned charity.
I begin by observing, what all indeed will understand, that the likeness to God, of which I propose to speak, belongs to man's higher or spiritual nature. It has its foundations in the original and essential capacities of the mind. In proportion as these are unfolded by right and vigorous exertion, it is extended and brightened. In proportion as these lie dormant, it is obscured. In proportion as they are perverted and overpowered by the appetites and passions, it is blotted out. In truth, moral evil, if unresisted and habitual, may so blight and lay waste these capacities, that the image of God in man may seem to be wholly destroyed.
The importance of this assimilation to our Creator is a topic which needs no labored discussion. All men, of whatever name or sect or opinion, will meet me on this ground. All, I presume, will allow that no good in the compass of the universe or within the gift of components can be compared to a resemblance of God, or to a participation of His attributes. I fear no contradiction here. Likeness to God is the supreme gift.
It feels like a perfect night to dress up like hipsters and make fun of our exes. It feels like a perfect night for breakfast at midnight, to fall in love with strangers. Yeah.